October country, that country where it is always turning late in the year, that country where the hills are fog and the rivers are mist, where noons go quickly, dusks and twilights linger, and midnights stay. That country composed in the main of cellars, subcellars, coal bins, closets, attics and pantries faced away from the sun. That country whose people are autumn people, thinking only autumn thoughts, whose people passing at night on the empty walks sound like rain. The jar. It was one of those things they keep in a jar in the tent of a sideshow on the outskirts of a little drowsy town. One of those pale things drifting in alcohol plasma, forever dreaming and circling with its peeled dead eyes, staring out at you and never seeing you. It went with the noiselessness of late night, and only crickets chirping, the frogs sobbing off the moist swampland. One of those things in a big jar that makes your stomach jump, as it does when you see a preserved arm in a laboratory vat. Charlie stared back at it for a long time. A long time, his big raw hands hairy on the rows of them, clenching the rope that kept back curious people. He had paid his dime, and now he stared. It was getting late. The merry-go-round drowsed down to a lazy, melancholic, mechanical tinkle. Tent peggers back of a canvas smoked and cursed over a poker game. Lights switched out, putting a summer gloom over the carnival. People streamed homeward in cliques and cues. Somewhere a radio flared up, then cut, leaving Louisiana sky wide and silent with stars. There was nothing in the world for Charlie but the pale thing sealed in its universe of serum. Charlie's loose mouth hung open in a pink wheel, teeth showing. His eyes were puzzled, admiring, wondering. Someone walked in the shadows behind him, small beside Charlie's gaunt tallness. "Oh," said the shadow, coming into the light bulb glare. "You still here, bub?" "Yeah," said Charlie, like a man in his sleep. The carny boss appreciated Charlie's curiosity. He nodded at his old acquaintance in the jar. "Everybody likes it in a peculiar kind of way, I mean." Charlie rubbed his long jawbone. "You, ever consider selling it?" The carny boss's eyes dilated, then closed. He snorted. "Nah, it brings customers. They like seeing stuff like that, sure." Charlie made a disappointed, "Oh, well," considered the carny boss. "If a guy has money, maybe." "How much money?" "If a guy had..." The carny boss estimated, counting fingers, watching Charlie as he tacked it out, one finger after another. "If a guy had 3, 4, say maybe 7 or 8. Charlie nodded with each motion, expectantly. Seeing this, the carny boss raised his total. "Maybe $10, maybe 15. Charlie scowled. The carny boss retreated. "Say a guy has $12. Charlie grinned. "Why, he could buy that thing in the jar," concluded the carny boss. "Funny thing," said Charlie. "I got just $12 in my denims, and I've been reckoning how looked up to I'd be back down at Wilder's Hollow if I brung home something like this to set up on my shelf over the table. The folks would sure look up to me then, I bet." "Well, now, listen here," said the carny boss. The sale was completed, with the jar put on the back seat of Charlie's wagon. The horse skittered its hooves when he saw the jar and whinnied. The carny boss glanced up with the expression of almost relief. "I was tired of seeing that damn thing around anyway. Don't thank me. Lately I've been thinking things about it. Funny things, but hell, I'm a big-mouthed so-and-so. So long, farmer." Charlie drove off. The naked blue light bulbs withdrew like dying stars. The open, dark country night of Louisiana swept in around the wagon and horse. There was just Charlie, the horse, timing his gray hooves, and the crickets. the jar behind the high seat. It sloshed back and forth, sloshed wet, and the cold gray thing drowsily slumped against the glass, looking out, but seeing nothing. Charlie leaned back to pet the lid, smelling of strange liquor. His hand returned, changed and cold and trembling, excited. Yes, sir, he thought to himself. Yes, sir. Slosh, slosh, slosh. In the hollow, numerous grass-green and blood-red lanterns tossed dusty light over men huddled, murmuring, spitting, sitting on general store property. They knew the creak bumble of Charlie's wagon and did not shift their raw, drab-haired skulls as he rocked to a halt. Their cigars were glowworms. Their voices were frog mutterings on summer nights. Charlie leaned down eagerly. Hi, Clem. Hi, Milt. Hello, Charlie, they murmured. The political conflict continued. Charlie cut it down the seam. I got something here. I got something you might want to see. Tom Carmotti's eyes glinted green in the lamplight from the general store porch. It seemed to Charlie that Tom Carmotti was forever installed under porches in shadow, or under trees in shadow, or in a room, then in the farthest niche, shining his eye out at you from the dark. You never knew what his face was doing, and his eyes were always funning you. And every time they looked at you, they laughed a different way. You ain't got nothing we wants to see, baby doll. Charlie made a fist and looked at it. Something's in the jar, he went on. Looks kinda like a brain, kinda like a pickled jellyfish, kinda like a, well, come see yourself. Somebody snickered. Somebody snicked a cigar into a fall of pink ash and ambled over to look. Charlie gradually elevated the jar lid, and in the uncertain lantern light, the man's face changed. Hey now, what the hell is this? It was the first thaw of the evening. Others shifted lazily, upright, leaned forward. Gravity pulled them into walking. They made no effort except to put one shoe before the other to keep them from collapsing upon their unusual faces. They circled the jar and contents, and Charlie, for the first time in his life, seized on some hidden strategy and crashed the glass lid shut. You want to see more? Drop around my house. It'll be there, he declared generously. Tom Carmotti spat out from his porch eyrie. Ha! Let me see that again, cried Gramps McAnoy. Is it an octopus? Charlie flapped the reins. The horse stumbled into action. Come on around, he said. You're welcome. What's your wife say? She'll kick the tar offen our heels. But Charlie and the wagon were gone over the hill. The men stood, all of them, chewing their tongues, squinting up the road in the dark. Tom Carmotti swore softly from the porch.